has the physical makeup to stay on the outside, jab a little bit, test him, bring him into deep waters, and take advantage of his aggressive style. So the key to having good fights, not big names, and these aren't big names, but competitive matches. Talent that's matched competitively. I think we have that tonight.
That's good. That's exactly what you want. I mean, two guys, I completely agree with you, that Honorio and Hilario. Hilario, we just haven't seen. The guy's 12-0-1. Honorio, yes, fought for the title, but we didn't get a good look at him. So stylistically, you say, hey, stick around. It should deliver this main event. Round number 2 here between Santos and Ramos. Let's look at the CompuBox statistics from round 1, the power punches, and Ramos just dominated there, landing 27, a lot of success with the left hand. But remember his prediction, and maybe a little bit overconfident coming in to his Friday night fight debut, saying, hey, I'm going to score a first-round knockout. Didn't come to fruition.
Well, I'll tell you something. You mentioned earlier that Dan Rafael's one of his top prospects that he has rated is this guy we're watching, Ramos. For me, the testing is going to be in the pudding tonight. He'll go on my list as a top prospect only if he scores a knockout. Otherwise, you don't go on my list. And I'm sorry if that sounds severe, but only if he scores a knockout tonight against a guy who has been knocked out 3 of his last 4. So if he's going to be on my list of top prospects, well, this fight can't go the distance now.
I think that's fair. I think if you look at what the recent addition of Santos has been, yes, Ramos would have to deliver.
I think so. I mean, Santos, 31 years old, as we said. He's been knocked out by other guys. So Ramos should do the same.
Well, remember last week, Teddy, in our opening bout on Friday Night Fights, Danny Garcia, who's much more heralded prospect than Ramos, didn't exactly give us the night we thought he was going to give us either.
No, and he doesn't, you know, he gets pushed back a little bit on my list a little bit because, again, I thought that he should have been able to score a knockout the way that the previous opponents that had fought that fighter
Theo Fang, yeah.
I was actually thinking back to the prospect in Cleveland when we were talking
Sean
about
Porter.
prospect. Yeah, I was thinking about Sean Porter.
Yeah.
Sean Porter, to me, I made the statement that night, too, that if he's going to be on a serious list of top special prospects, doesn't mean he still can't be a guy that gets there. But on that kind of list, then he needed to do what the prior fighters had done with that opponent, knock him out. And Porter wasn't able to do that.
Of round number 2. We're talking about prospects a bit here. When we come back, we're going to tell you some veterans and title fights we have coming up for you. Rico Ramos is a 14-0 prospect from Los Angeles who's had an active career early on. 8 fights in 08, 6 fights in 09. Now trying to get off to a good start here on Friday Night Fights. We've seen prospects recently. We just had that conversation. Want to tell you about the coming weeks in Friday Night Fights because on March 19th, a very good junior middleweight fight. DeAndre Lattimore against Saku Pal in a rematch of what was a sensational first fight. Then on March 26th, 2 world title fights. Corey Spinks against K9 and a cruiserweight fight that I can't wait for. Steve Cunningham against Matt Godfrey. That is on March 26th. Double bill of title fights.
Well, the manager trainer of this prospect, Ramos, Darnell Walker, who's the manager and trainer, said that Ramos sparred at the Wild Card Gym with Undefeated, and this guy is a legitimate prospect. Guillermo Rigondeaux from the Cuban team who defected, who's, I think he's about 6-0 now, 2-time gold medalist, is a legitimate. And according to trainer-manager Darnell Walker, Ramos, and I'm quoting him, he danced squares around him. I wasn't there. I don't know about it, but, you know, the gym is different than the ring. But that's fairly impressive if he danced squares around Rigondeaux, as I just said, a legitimate prospect.
Yeah, Rigondeaux is an A-level guy who we've seen well-heralded, top Olympian from that group of Cubans who found freedom and now are moving forward in their pro careers. One of our producers asked Rico yesterday about the sparring sessions with Rigondeaux. He said, and this is coming from Rico Ramos, Rigondeaux cannot fight on the inside, and on the outside, he's just pretty good.
Well, again, one thing to say it, it's another thing to do it in the ring. And so far, Ringondeaux has been able to do it in the ring as an amateur and as a pro. And I think he has a chance to win a world title at an accelerated pace. But right now, we just want to see if Ramos gets on that list as one of those legitimate prospects. And again, got a guy in front of him who has not finished on his feet in 3 of his last 4 fights. Let's see what Ramos does. And there he goes to the body. I think a good place for him to concentrate on.
Been doubling up that left hand a few times. Santos that time scores with a short right hand.
So Santos showing steadiness. Calmness that you would expect from a 31-year-old who's been pro 12 and a half years. You would expect calmness, steadiness. And that's the asset, that's the talent that he's bringing tonight. He's not bringing the hand speed or the foot speed. He's bringing that.
Ramos and Santos at the end of 3, scheduled for 8.
Well, it's been a good left hand by Ramos, carrying him early in his fight. He takes that jab and he turns into a hook very well. Again, you see it there. He showed you a little bit of a jab, not a stiff jab, not a snappy jab,